I think one thing we can all agree on is that not every Deltarune theory is good. Some of them are really terrible, and today we're only going to be talking about the absolute worst theories the fandom has to offer. Let's start off with the theory that the prophecy that we didn't get to see said something along the lines of, "To save the worlds there is only one way. The grand fountain must be sealed away." I hate this theory. Among all the things that may be written in the prophecy, this is the one that is written there the least. Let's just go over how nonsensical this is. After Ralsei profusely apologizes over her having to see this supposed horrible thing that has to be done, Susie insists that it's something that they would never ever let happen, especially not Ralsei. Ralsei is still in his character arc to find his own worth and still mostly sees himself as low value to the Lightners. And you really think he would never ever let someone seal Castletown to save the whole goddamn world? We are talking about the entire fucking world here. I don't think Ralsei would ever play with the thought of putting himself over the entire world. Also, the wording implies that we don't just save the world, but we save both worlds, like the light and the dark world. So Ralsei wouldn't even cease to exist. He would just stop being connected to the light world, which makes this even less probable. And even Susie, I don't believe, would do that. Susie can cope with loss very well, as we see her literally accept Gerson's death instantly. Susie wouldn't put the fate of the literal world below Ralsei. She's not 6 years old. Also, this as the ending of Deltarune? Really? I would hate it if Deltarune just ended with us sealing Castletown, and then Susie says something along the lines of, "Oh, well, we may not be able to go on epic adventures anymore, but at least we made a lot of friends along the way." What the fuck? I want hardship, I want tragedy, not this somber feel-good bullshit, where there's basically nothing lost in the end. Deltarune's story is also going in a much more broad direction, to where sealing Castletown wouldn't really be a big bad consequence in the end. Alright, enough of that, let's talk about the next theory. Asriel's dust! Woo! Clap it up, everyone! Yeah! It's the best, most coherent, and definitely least flawed theory ever conceived. Yeah, okay, I'm not really the biggest Asriel's Dust fan, I lied to you. But why do I hate Asriel's Dust theory so much, you may ask? Well, because it makes no sense. Okay, hear me out here. How could Asriel be dead if Toriel thinks he's off to college? Jaro explains that this is possible because Asriel was killed by Chris in the school supply closet, which would have made Ralsei from his dust. That's fine and all, but how did Chris convince Toriel that he's off to college, if she never saw him leave and take his things with him? I could see how Chris could fool everyone but Toriel. They could use Asriel's email address to message people and pretend it's him, but Toriel would know he never left. He would have had to leave by bus or her driving him there, and I'm sure Toriel, Chris, and probably also Asgore would want to wave him goodbye if he was off through public transport. But both Toriel and Asgore believe that he's off to college, making his death basically impossible. So already the fundamentals don't work out at all. Also, in the newest version of Asriel's Dust, Jaro does not even talk about this discrepancy. So don't come at me in the comments about how he made a new version of this theory or something. While we're talking about Asriel's Dust too, we might as well talk about the next big problem. Chris is supposed to not be possessed by the player, but by Des or Asriel. I don't even think I have to say anything about this. Just look at this. The prophecy clearly states that the first hero, the Cage, has a human soul, not a monster soul. Oh, and for everyone who believes that Des is a human, well, what about this? A pair of shoes fit for hooves, huh? I'm convinced these normal shoes in our cupboard aren't hers, but Asriel's also. The holidays usually don't wear shoes, and the dreamers have human-like feet, so I think these might genuinely be Asriel's shoes. Oh no, this theory is just pretty stupid, and honestly I feel like Jaro just made this because he doesn't want the player to be canon. Anyway, moving on. Okay, last up, let's talk about chest theory. The lamest theory ever conceived. I've hated it even before chapters 3 and 4 because I've always found the idea of the bosses needing to adhere to some sort of rules so boring. Like, come on! This is Toby Fox we're talking about. He was never gonna have his game follow some sort of formula until the very end. This is the guy who turned chapter 3 into a minigame frenzy. But now with chapters 3 and 4 having been released, this theory has just been completely buried. The secret bosses for chapters 3 and 4 did not fit their predicted pieces at all. Chapter 3's secret boss was supposed to represent the rook in chess. The rook can only move forwards and sideways and has the third highest point value, which would mean that it'd be the secret boss for chapter 3, according to the chess theory. But Iram doesn't really display the attributes of a rook at all. Iram did not castle with the king, whatever that would mean in Deltarune lore terms, and Iram also didn't hide behind some sort of pawn like in chess with the Tarash rule. Well, unless Iram is actually the knight, then maybe you could make a case for Tenna being the pawn they hide behind this chapter. But I mean, the knight is probably supposed to be represented by a different piece, I think. Chapter 4's secret boss also did not really work out at all. They were either supposed to be the knight or the bishop, but judging off the dark world we got being a church, the bishop would have been more likely. With that out of the way, did chapter 4's secret boss represent a bishop? No! In fact, Gerson might be the exact opposite of a bishop. Bishops don't really have any famous named strategies like the rook in chess, except for the Capablanca rule, which is basically just the recommendation to not block off the bishop with your pawns when you only have one left. And I don't think you can really transfer that into Deltarune lore. That's why I'm gonna be examining the actual, in real life bishops for this one. Bishops in real life are the overseers of all the Christian institutes within their assigned districts. They basically control how the resources of the Christian church are used within that district, and control of each church is following the norms of Christianity. And Gerson, well, isn't really bound by religion. I mean, he literally tells us that the prophecy, the religious text that the Deltarune church is based on, is not the end-all be-all and that it can be changed. He literally goes against the religion. So yeah, with all that said, chess theories.
What about the images in Jack and Steen's battle box? That looks like pretty good proof for chess theory.
Bro, what is this? Did I miss an update? Is the flower the newest chess piece? Also, where's the rook, the pawn, and the bishop? And what is that? The little fucking prince? In my opinion, this is clearly just supposed to represent the dynamic between the knight Asgore, Toriel, and probably also Chris. But what do you think about this? Anyway, thank you for watching, and shout out to Linkson for the amazing thumbnail out of Chris. You can find their link in the video description. Like, subscribe, bye bye.